Good afternoon, Facebook. This is Teresa B coming to you straight from Amplified Exposure Live. I have today my special guest, Bruce George. He is well known for Poetry Jam that used to come on HBO, and he also has a company called Genius is Common. And he came on my show today because he likes me. Thank you for coming out today, Mr. George. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm blessed. Please call me Bruce. First and foremost, Teresa B, I want to thank you for having me on your show. I want to shout out Howell who connected us. I want to thank the good Lord for blessing us to be here. I want to thank your watchers and listeners for listening in. And this is a good platform, and I'm very grateful to be here.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, thank you for coming on. And yes, let's thank our connection. He's also sweet as well. Helps me out a lot with meeting different people in the industry. So I'm grateful. But today is all about you, boo. You
Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
You came on today, and we're going to talk about all about your experiences. So what I know about you is that you are the co-founder of Poetry Jam, which is kind of like the comedy jam that they had, but instead it's just poetry that you did with Simmons. Is that correct?
Oh, correct. It's Def Poetry Jam that I was blessed to be one of the co-founders, along with Deborah Pointer, Danny Simmons, Russell Simmons, the whole nine. And, you know, we wound up getting a Peabody Award for 6 seasons on HBO and a Tony Award for the Broadway version. I was the town executive at HBO and executive consultant to the Broadway show, and the rest, as they say, is history. So I want to thank everybody that supported the show, from the poets that were on the show or / spoken word artists that were on the show, to people that viewed it, people that bought into the premium, HBO premium. I mean, from even people that were operating the gaps. You know, you have to like show support. And for everybody that was involved, you know, all hands was on deck. And I want to thank HBO for pushing a poetic license to allow us to do a show that was very iconoclastic, muckraking at that time. This is right after 9/11, when the world was in a very reflective, patriotic state. You know, everybody and Baby Brother was very patriotic after that. So we caught the world in a very reflective state, and we fed them the truth in an unfettered fashion. So appreciate this platform.
Yeah. So when it started the year of 9/11, correct?
Around that, after.
And when did it end? When did the show end?
And we had 4 seasons on HBO, so I think it was 2004, something like that, is when it ended. Around that, because we had 6 seasons on HBO, and it went well. You know, Peabody Award, Tony Award for the Broadway version. You know, so it went very well. And you know what happened is, you know, by Russell head nodding the genre, what it did was it opened up a Pandora's box, if you will, of poets, playwrights, writers, you name it, and it really had given the art form a Java Joe. So big up to Russell for, you know, just really just embracing the movement and embracing that whole poetry spoken word movement, because it was above surface, a little bit above ground, and he was able to take it further and mainstream it. So you got to give credit where credit is due.
Okay. Well, there are a lot of poetry fans out there, and I'm going to tell you now, you just made history with Amplified Exposure Live, because you are the very first person to come on and talk about poetry.
Well, I appreciate that, and I want to shout out, you know, Amplified Exposure with Teresa B. You guys are doing an amazing job. You had some dope guests on the show, and so I'm honored to be a part of this platform.
Yeah. So, poetry. Now, when did you start writing poetry?
Well, I've been writing poetry since I was a knee-high to a giant. You know, my mother was the first published poet in our family, and she would use these exotic words around me, you know, and as a result of that, I fell in love with words. I was born in Harlem, raised in the Bronx. I've been living in Brooklyn for over 15 years. I'm a New Yorker to the umpteenth percentile. So poetry was always in my veins. Hip hop was always in my veins. So it was a natural progression for me to get into hip hop to get into poetry as a result of, you know, my mom and then everything else. So the rest, as they say, is history. So I've been writing poetry for a while.
Okay, so were you one of those children that in middle school you wrote your little girlfriend a little poem, say, check if you like me, check if you don't? Did you?
Absolutely. Something like that, you know, something like that. I wrote my son's mother, you know, a poem. And my mom told me that I put it in the cabinet or something and tried to hide it from her. You know, I guess it was a breakup poem because she had broken up with me. So it was one of those things. But because I had my son when I was mad young. So it is what it is. So, but we're friends to this day, though.
Okay. So do you have poetry that you can share with us? Because, you know,
I mean, I'll give you, yeah, I'll give you a quick poem. It's about fatherlessness because I didn't have my father in my life. From 4 years old, he transitioned out of my life. And so fatherless sons cries on the inside, dies on the inside with lump in throat, chokes on abandonment, then throws up gang signs. So through that double entendre in there. So when you don't have a father in your life, that plays a big part in you getting into crime, you getting into gangs, and you getting into trouble and all that. I mean, I was into various different gangs. I've been in several of them. I was very wild, very brazen, and I wouldn't get down with your crew, clique, or set if you weren't the most brazen. You know, I'm not proud of my past, but I'm not ashamed of it either. You know, I was running with stick-up crews. You know, I was just wild and brazen. But then God blessed me to turn my life around. And actually, I'm the founder of the Bandana Republic, which is a literary anthology by gang members and their affiliates. Jim Brown wrote the foreword to it. It was one of the most best, well-researched books he's ever read. Poetry, prose, short stories, and quotes and interviews from gang members, gang leaders, and those affiliated. Crips, Bloods, Latin Kings, Northerners, Southerners, Mexican Mafia affiliates, crew sets, cliques, Zulu Nation, you name it, is in it. And we have the leaders in it at the true OG level. It was smuggled into the security housing unit at Pelican Bay, and the Mexican Mafia blessed it. So, Teresa, I do those projects that a lot of people wouldn't touch because I'm all about activism. You know, and Garvey said, if that's men in earnest don't concern themselves with consequences. So I get it in. I do what I need to do. I don't worry about consequences. When you're doing the right thing for the right reason, when you include God, you can't help but be successful.
That's right. So when did you leave gang life? And
you know, I started very young. So I would say I left it like about when I was 20, around 19, 21. So imagine when I got in it, right? And I wound up going to, when I was in high school, I went to Samuel Gompers High School in the South Bronx. There's a number of blacks and Puerto Ricans, all boys school. So imagine the testosterone in that. And I got kicked out of there. I got kicked out of there for inciting a riot between the blacks and Puerto Ricans. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me. From there, instead of going to jail, I went to Job Corps. And yeah, while I was at Job Corps, I was fighting, punching windows out, setting fires to broom closets. Because when you in Job Corps, you get in trouble, they give you work. Right. So I was burning down broom closets, you know, and whatever, you know, in protest. But, you know, somebody believed in me while I was there because of my academics. And then one thing led to the other. They didn't kick me out. I graduated from there. And from there, I went to Niagara University. And I graduated from there. I was a part of the Niagara University Opportunity Program, which afforded me to go to a private Catholic college. A big up to NUOP. I really appreciate that program. It saved my life. And the rest, as they say, is history.
The rest isn't history yet because okay. You're still doing stuff. So it's not.
Absolutely. No, talking about in terms of that history. Absolutely. Yeah.
So you left college. What next?
Oh, after college, you know, I just started getting into work, getting into, you know, various different jobs, sales, mental health. I've been in the mental health field for 7 years. You know, I'm classic right brain, Teresa. I study every single day. I specialize in psychology, philosophy, classic literature, neurolinguistic programming, metaphysics, body language, the law of attraction. I specialize in power. I'm a wordsmith, word engineer, and a master quotologist. Every nanosecond I'm quoted around the world of every single day. thousands of my own quotes, and the quotes that have the memory of others is staggering. It's not because of who I am, because of whose I am. There's no such thing as extraordinary people. It's ordinary people that do things extraordinarily well, right? So God has blessed me to reinvent myself, which is the key to longevity, by the way. You have to reinvent yourself. So this whole COVID, man-made COVID situation, what it's doing is separating the wheat from the chaff, the believers from the non-believers, right? You know, we pray, but we watch, but at the same token, it's separating those that believe from those that don't. You know, and God says in the Bible that fear drives the snare. So whatever you fear, you drive it to you. But people of faith, we don't do fear, we do faith. God didn't give us a spirit of fear. He gave us a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. So there you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So college, and then when did you meet?
So when college got into sales, got into different things. I started as a clinical counselor, then a senior clinician, and then a mental health practitioner. Then from there, I got into sales. And then from there, that was the last job I ever had. And from there, that's around the time when I was blessed to be one of the founders of Def Poetry Jam and never looked back since then. That's been over a quarter of a century.
So where did you meet Russell Simmons? Like,
it was through Danny Simmons. Big up to Danny Simmons and Deborah Pointer. It was through his big brother, Danny Simmons, who I met him at his old house / gallery in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
You know, and they were doing poetry / gallery showings, and I walked up in there and I met him. At the time, I was a member of the Black Panther Collective, which is an offshoot of the Panther Party, and I did a brief stint with them. And I rode up in there with black bandana and an army hat. A couple of my comrades looking like we was about to stick up the joint, and that's when I met Danny Simmons.
Okay, nice. So y'all had a meeting.
Nice powwow. We had a nice powwow. Yeah. You know, told him what I thought about, you know, Def Comedy Jam, and told him what I thought about the notion that there should be a poetry version to the comedy version. And he got warm on me in reference to that and introduced me to his son, Jamal. Big up to Jamal Simmons. And then Danny and I reconvened, and then the next thing you know is history.
Okay. And how many times did you perform poetry on the seat?
Oh, you mean on the circuit? When I was on this, well, you mean as far as like with Def Poetry Jam, I didn't do it at all. Russell heard me spit some of the lyrics personally at the old Fat Farm Russell Communications office at 7th Avenue in the Fashion District. And he was feeling my lyrics, and he was like, yo, I want you to be on the show. And I was like, nah, I want that slot to be for somebody that don't have a slot, don't have a shot. And he was like, yo, F that, I want you to be on the show. And I was like, no, I'm good. And he walked away. You see, at that point, it was about me getting out of my own ego, getting out of my own whatever, and giving that slot to somebody else. The average individual wouldn't do that. You know that, Teresa. They would have jumped on the show. No, I wanted to be respected as an executive producer who happens to be a spoken word artist, not just a spoken word artist.
Right. So then the show's over. 4 seasons later, what do you do then?
You know, I've reinvented myself. Like I stated earlier, reinvention is the key to longevity. So I'm always about keeping it moving, you know, and then just getting into different things and creating different things. And then eventually I was blessed to create in the latter part of 2014, God downloaded into my spirit the concept of geniusiscommon. And the genius, and this is the perfect segue, but the geniusiscommon movement, it actually got started from one of my quotes. Because I would go around the country and I would ask the youth, when you hear the word genius, what image comes to mind? And they would always say Einstein or a light bulb. And every now and then, Teresa, I would get a Jordan, and that troubled me. And I said, you know what, let me write a quote about that. And the quote is, notwithstanding Einstein, genius is common. And then that turned into the slogan, genius is common, was turned into an entire movement. As we speak, we have a presence in all 50 states, 14 countries with 23 ambassadors and growing. We have a presence in Jamaica, Barbados, Ghana, Kenya, Dubai, Norway, Nigeria, the UK, Canada, the Bahamas. We're about to have a presence in the Dominican Republic and Panama. So shout out to everybody in the geniusiscommon movement, my 23 ambassadors, all of the 67 celebrities that actually did geniusiscommon videos, all of the major A-listers and B-listers, celebrities that did geniusiscommon videos, because we're the first and only YouTube video-based movement on the planet, Teresa. We have over 850 Genius is Coming videos. And the Genius is Coming movement, basically, metaphorically speaking, is the first movement to put the word genius on trial. We're the first movement to tear down the Berlin Wall of the word genius, put it in the hands of the people where it belongs. So you take a young lady from a housing project, micro braids hair, Picasso painted, that's a genius. Dave Chappelle is a genius of a comedian. Bishop T.D. Jakes is a genius of a bishop. So the GIC movement got started from one of my coaches, because I would go around the country next to youth. When you hear the word genius, what image comes to mind? They would always say Einstein or a light bulb, and every now and then I would get exhorted. So that troubled me. So the quote about that in the quote is, notwithstanding Einstein, genius is common, which turned into the slogan, genius is common, which turned into an entire movement. You know, so we're an anti-elitist movement. We're about taking elitism out of the word genius. So when you hear them say only a genius if you have 130, 140 IQ and Mensa, Teresa, that's pure nonsense. That was an arbitrary number made up of Stanford University to make you 1% of the population, which is rooted in elitism. But they don't want you to know that the true origin of the word genius doesn't just apply to intellect. Even Einstein said we're all geniuses. And if you were to judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, you would spend its whole life believing that it's stupid. Buckminster Fuller said that every child is born a genius, but the process of life degeniuses them. The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer said that talent is a target that no one else can hit, but genius is a target that no one else can see. So we're the first movement to let the world know that the true origin of the word genius comes from the word genie out of Northern Africa, not ancient Rome. And the genie is the guiding spirit within a person. So the genius in us is the genie in us, and the genie in us is the God in us. There we go. You know, and I don't proselytize. I just tell people we all have a genius seed. Some call it God, which I do, some call it source energy, for the Esther Hicks law of attraction type folk. And those that believe in God, I'll take them back to the etymology. Let's look at the word genesis. Genesis is the beginning. God is the alpha and the what? Omega. Let's look at the word genie in your genes, right? Your genes is your whole makeup. So the cat is out the back and the jig is up. We're the first movement to take the elitism out of the word genius. Thus, we are an anti-elitist movement. And by the way, we're about to break mainstream any day, hour, a month now, like Black Lives Matter and the Me Too movements, respectively. So big up to those.
So how many members? I heard all the countries, but give me a count of actual people that are in this particular movement.
I don't have an exact head count, but it's hundreds of thousands of members that's in the Genius Coming movement. Hundreds of thousands. You know, with over 850 videos, but hundreds of thousands of members all around the country, and even more than just 14 countries. People that believe that the word genius is common. Because when you say genius is common, what you're doing is you're basically taking a pop shot at elitism. You know, you're taking the elitism out of it. Right. So if you believe that genius is common, then you are part of the Genius is Common movement. Real talk.
Right. And it doesn't matter, you know, the color or
race, color, doesn't race, color, creed, sexual orientation. We're a multicultural, multiracial, multisexual orientation movement, which couldn't come at a better time when the world is most racially and politically divided. No thanks to that racist idiot in the lighthouse, Agent 45. I call him Tang Cheeto. But that's another conversation. You know, that's why we must get out and vote. Get out and vote. You know, do your thing. Do your civic duty.
Most definitely. Please do. Are we going to be?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So your movement, how long have you been doing that?
The movement was downloaded into my spirit in the latter part of 2014, and it was just an epiphany.
Okay.
And then from there, that turned into, you know, I was going around the country, like I said earlier, and I would ask the youth, when you hear the word genius, what image comes to mind? And they would always say Einstein. So that troubled me. And then I wrote a quote from that, and then the quote turned into a slogan, and the slogan turned into the movement. And by the way, you're talking to the head honcho. I run everything, and I own everything. I own a trademark. I run everything, and I own everything. I own a trademark, own the copyright, and I'm the only Facebook group administrator, because you have to keep this close to the belt. And I would implore your audience, if they want to be a part of the movement, they could check out our website. Go to geniusiscommon.com. Nothing is spelled funny. Go to geniusiscommon.com so they can check out some videos, check out what the movement is about. And they can get at me through the movement if they're interested in doing a Genius is Coming video.
Right. And so for our audience out there, Genius is Common, he has a YouTube page where he has all these videos of all these different people from all walks of life where they talk about what their genius is.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so just to give them a little synopsis of why people are actually doing these videos. These videos are to put you front and center in front of a plethora of people,
right?
To let them know I am genius in this and I am genius in this.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, and I gotta have to big up some of the celebrities that did Genius Is Coming videos. I told you we have 67 of them, which is unprecedented. Actor Malik Yoba, Nikki Giovanni, The Last Poets, the late Tommy Ford from the Martin Lawrence Show, Bernadette Stannis, aka Thelma from Good Times, actor Dorian Wilson, comedian Rodney Perry. We even have a Genius Is Coming video from the first black Bond girl from the James Bond flicks. Her name is Trina Park, Black Don't Crack. We have one from legendary actor Antonio Fargas, who played Huggy Bear, Starsky and Hutch, and I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. From the legendary actor, film producer Bill Duke, who was in Predator, Commando, Car Wash, Menace to Society. He did the film Black Girls, which is the colorization of Black girls. We have one from Toronto who created the Me Too movement. You know, you name it. I mean, 36 classic vintage rappers: Curtis Blow, Grandmaster Melly Mel, Doodle Kelly from Laws of the Underground, Floyd Paradise Clay from the X Clan, Easy 80 from the Cold Crush Brothers, Raheem from Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5 MCs, DJ Cool, Red Alert, DJ King Slay, the first scratcher. We even have a Genius Is Coming video from Alonzo Williams, who's the godfather of West Coast hip hop, who's responsible for Dr. Dre, NWA, and Ice Cube. So big up to Alonzo Williams. You know, we have one from Speech from the rap group Arrested Development, Natalie from the group Poetry, and then the group Kindred the Family Soul out of Philadelphia, right? Out of the Drill Music Soul Child, Neo Soul era. We just received a video from Fatigue, was the husband of Aja, of the husband and wife, Kindred the Family Soul. So they sort of like the Ashford and Simpson of, you know, our generation, so to speak. So big up to Fatigue, this Genius Is Coming video, and him and his wife Pop is about to do one as well. So the movement is growing a lot of legs, and you know, I'm excited about it, you know, and it sells itself, you know, and I thank God for that. You know, God will do it. He will do it. Up you mighty people, you can accomplish what you will, Garvey.
Right. And I have to do my Genius Is Coming. I know you've been doing one for about a month. I'm going to do a video, and I'm going to be next to, I don't know who, but I want.
No, you're going to go on a Prime page. I got you. I have you covered. I have you covered.
I need Oprah on this side. I need Tyler Perry on that side. I don't know who I'm gonna have in the back of my video, but you know, just make it between them two people.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, absolutely.
So tell people what's next. Tell people how they can reach you.
Okay. They can reach me. I'm Googleable. They can reach me. They can go to Google, put my name in Google, and then I'm reachable like that. What's next? Genius Is Common is what's next. When you run in a movement, trust and believe that it's all you do.
Right.
You know, but I'm not complaining. It's good work. I love it. I love what I do. It's my work ministry, and I'm a firm believer that your work is your ministry. So what's next? Genius Is Common is what's next.
Genius Is Common. So
absolutely.
Now tuning in, this is George. He is the co-founder of Def Jam's Poetry that was on HBO for 4 seasons. And he also has a movement called Genius Is Common that has thousands of people involved, where they're not talking about IQs. They're talking about your specialty and what you do in life, how God has blessed you, what your genius is. So if you want to join the movement, Bruce George also has a Facebook group that
we have over 20,200 and some odd members in our group, which is not bad for a Facebook group. And we also have a TikTok page, Genius Is Coming on TikTok. And we've reached over 40,000 likes, because TikTok is not about, you know, followers and who you follow, who's following you. It's all about likes. We have over 40,000 likes. So if you go to Genius Is Common's TikTok page, you're going to be pleasantly surprised when you see all those amazing videos of Black folk behind amazing music. You know, we have elderly, we have models like Black elderly models. We just have like young folks. You name it. It's just like super dope. So check out our TikTok. This is Common.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate you coming on the show today.
It's my pleasure. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, off screen, you're like a gem. You're a nice person to talk to, and
I appreciate it.
Very bright and good spirit. So thank you for being you. Thank you for giving us history with poetry, and genius is common.
Absolutely. I
Anything,
love it.
any nuggets
I
you
just
want to
wanted,
leave?
I want to leave the audience with this. Believe in yourself. Garvey, I quote Garvey quite a bit. Up you mighty people, you can accomplish what you will. The devil is a liar, right? Every last one of you were born with a gift and a calling. And it's important that you be still enough to find out what that gift is. Plain and simple. And God has blessed all of us. One's culture plus experience equals one's frame of reference, right?
Right.
Charlie Parker said it best. If you haven't lived it, it won't come out your horn. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Be still enough to know, because God has this amazing sense of humor where he gives us the so-called free will to do what we want to do. But the fine print reads, until you do what I instilled in you to do, you'll never be happy and you'll never have purpose. So my advice is to follow your purpose. Be still enough to find out what that is. When you find out what that is, lean not towards your own understanding. Acknowledge him in all your ways and he will direct your path.
Amen. That's a good word. Amen. Thank you so much for coming on my show.
For having me.
All right. If you want to reach Bruce George, you can reach him at geniusiscommon.com, or you can go onto the Facebook group Genius is Common, and he'll tell you all about his movement, and he'll let you come in. We're all family, about 20,000 deep, and it's a good movement to be in. And
absolutely.
Before we get off, if you are a genius out there, you better go vote, because that's about the smartest thing you can do.
That's right. That's right.
So please go out and vote. And don't forget, this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I will have a guest on tomorrow as well talking about that. So I appreciate you, Bruce George.
I appreciate you, Teresa B.
I'd like to say good night to all of you.
God bless you.
God bless you as well.